Welcome to the show, Mr.
Thank
Tyson.
you.
Like Neil deGrasse Tyson. I feel like I gotta say your whole name.
At
Or am I
first, but
allowed
then
to?
just call me Neil after that.
Okay, you
But just
okay with
call
that?
me at all.
Just call you. I'm so glad you could join me
Thank
today.
you. Thank you.
You're one of my like bucket list interviews
Oh,
because
all
I'm
right.
so all about space and the moon and things like that, and moon cycles and
At
how they
some
work.
level, I think we all are.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a cosmic curiosity that pervades us all.
I'm
Because
curious
you can't go outside and look up and not wonder.
and not wonder like what if
Wonder about anything.
what if a giant hand comes down and shit like
I never wondered that.
you never.
That's a different.
These are things that,
If that's what you're wondering, that's a different thing.
okay. I'm curious though, how do you, having so much information about space, how do you just like live regular life? Like I'm stuck.
Okay, so let me make an adjustment to what you said.
Okay.
It's not so much that I'm carrying around boatloads of information.
Mm,
That may also be true, but that's not what's important. It's how much knowledge, wisdom,
mm,
insight does one carry? And that's not measured by separate bits of facts. That's measured by you're confronted with something that someone says, a phenomenon, uh, something in front of you. What are your thoughts in response to it? And depending on what your background is, you'll have a different array of thoughts. As an astrophysicist, my thoughts tend to be birthed in the universe. When they come back to Earth, it offers me a cosmic perspective on what's going on.
mm.
So perspectives are things that I think perhaps we should value, not knowledge, because knowledge in a sense is overrated. You can Google it.
Yeah.
It was just knowledge. But how do you now react to that knowledge? That's where sort of wisdom and insight comes in.
So your book, Merlin's Guide to the Universe, Merlin's Tour, I'm sorry, of the universe, you updated, new edition, your
That was my very
very
first,
first
I wrote
book.
that in graduate school. And I brought it back to life. I exhumed it into the 21st century because I came to realize, oh my gosh, almost everything I do when I reach to the public on my social media platforms and other books, on TV interviews, every method, tool, and tactic I invoke for you to have a renewed curiosity, or I say renewed because we all were curious as kids. So yes, it's a renewed curiosity. Whatever I do to fan those flames, it has tap roots in that character,
Okay.
Merlin, a fictionalized character that I invented for a column that I wrote for a magazine and to pick up some extra money on the side while I was in graduate school. But that character has lived for all of time and knows historical figures in human civilization. And people ask questions. And so Merlin then recalls a conversation with the person who made the discovery. And so there's also reference to pop culture. There's an occasional rhyme. Someone named Anna wrote in and says, "Is there up or down in space?" So I can just say no, but a Merlin way to answer it. Well, it's important for Anna to test that one person's east is another person's west. But in space, where there is no up or down, one man's smile. What is
Another man's prime.
another
I
frown.
love it.
So that's a little rhymey thing that Merlin can do.
One of the things I really love about it, so you should definitely pick it up, Neil deGrasse Tyson's Merlin's Tour of the Universe. And it's a Q&A. It's an entire Q&A from your column,
Yeah,
now updated. And I love that there are simple questions and then there's like more broad questions
yeah.
about like space
Some
and
people
time.
know stuff before they ask a
Yeah.
question.
I'm like, wow. So
There's a
some
little bit of
people,
everything in there. That's right.
yeah.
I was charmed by how much knowledge people brought to their question. Some are simple,
Mhm.
like what is time? I mean, the question is simple, the answer is not. Um, and others are, well, I read this about galaxies and they rotate in this way. What would happen if they rotated?
Yeah.
You know, they getting in on it, right? All in the back of what's going on. So I'd like to think of this book as a celebration of learning.
Mm,
Because if you just want to know the answer to something, you just go to a wiki page and get the
right.
answer. If that's all you want. But if you want to have fun learning, that's a different objective.
So I'm curious. There was a question in there about like the sun burning out at some point, right? And I
That will happen.
it will
Don't try to wish it
billions,
away.
billions
Don't
of
try to
years
pray it away. That's going to happen.
is going to
Yeah.
happen. And then, so my question or my thought after that was, are we impacting, like we're impacting the ozone layer, but are humans at all impacting the sun? Is the sun only impacting humans?
Okay. If the sun were hollow, you could pour 1,000,000 Earths inside of it.
Mm.
The sun has blemishes. We call them sunspots.
Mm.
Those spots are larger than Earth.
Wow. Okay.
There is nothing you can do
To impact it.
to impact the sun.
Okay.
I'm just
It's
saying.
just doing its own thing.
Okay. And the extent to which we're impacting Earth, people say, save Earth. We need to say the real issue there is not Earth is going to be here with or without us, beyond us. You want to save life on Earth. We are impacting the ecosystem.
Okay.
That's something that needs to be addressed more thoroughly and seriously than it is right
Then
now.
we're taking it like
Right.
climate change is real. We need to really be thinking about that.
Yeah, and I want to highlight that there's been some progress in that realm. It's kind of a perverse progress, but it's progress. Not long ago, maybe 15 at most 20 years ago, the conservative right was in abject denial of climate change, saying it's a hoax. Even Donald Trump, there's some quote of him saying climate change is a hoax. Okay. Then a few years later, it was, oh, climate change is real, but we're not causing it. That's progress. That's progress. It went from hoax to admitting it's real, but they said, okay, climate change is real and we're causing it, but there's nothing we can do about it. Then it became climate change is more progress. Climate change is real. We're causing it, and we don't like the Green New Deal. That's more progress. That means you're ready to sit down and figure out how you want to solve this problem. And I'm sad that it took 2 decades for people to embrace the science. Was it the hurricanes hitting people's beach houses? Rich people get hit first when the hurricanes hit. By the way, insurance companies and the military have known forever that climate change is real because there'll be climate change refugees in the future. There are whole island nations in the South Pacific where the average elevation above sea level is like 6 feet. Do you realize as the Earth continues to warm, the glaciers in Antarctica and Greenland will continue to melt into the oceans, raising the water level to the point where the water level will reach that of the Statue of Liberty's left elbow, flooding all the world's major cities. So if climate change goes to its limit, it's not going to render us extinct. It'll just be the unraveling of civilization as we know it, because we spent 10,000 years building cities on waterways, where there's commerce, transportation, there's irrigation. If you lose your coastal cities, which is most of them, except for maybe Denver, if you're a mountain city, you're fine. But anybody else, name all the big cities, all of them: Paris, London, New York, all of them.
Yeah. I used to be a teacher, and we had some.
Then you're still a teacher.
Yes, always. Once, always. We had some scientists from NASA come and talk to the students, and one of them was saying how at some point they have to switch over scientists because after you get to a certain level of knowledge, you start to conclude, and when you have concluded, you can't discover new universes. And so my question for you is, how do you stay open enough to discover new universes?
That's an excellent question. So I collect and read what are called antiquarian science books. So these are books that go back 100, 200, 300, 400 years. And I read them, not only books written by the scientist, but people writing about the science in the day, trying to either popularize it or try to get people to understand it. When I do that, I see what people were thinking, and I get to measure how much confidence they had in what they're saying versus what ultimately came out to be true. It's very humbling when you watch people. There's an entire book from 120 years ago extolling the virtues of N-rays. Yeah, you're looking at me quizzically because they don't exist. But this person thought they existed. And here's someone totally riding high on what he thinks is a discovery, and no one was able to confirm that discovery. And if you can't confirm a scientific discovery, it's not a discovery. It's not a thing. So if you're reminded that some of what is strongly held is possibly still being researched, you don't want to vote too soon on what you think is objectively true or not. And that keeps you honest.
Mm.
Without it, you can gain too much confidence in your own ideas. And that's the beginning of the end of your scientific career.
What are some places that you think should be studied deeper, or we need to look deeper into in terms of science or astrophysics?
We need to look into the human mind and try to figure out why people are so susceptible to things that are not true. You want to talk about a
Oh,
frontier of science? There you go, right there. But forget the universe, forget physics, astrophysics, bring in the neuroscientist to understand how it is that, why is it, for example, that we are so bad at thinking statistically and probabilistically about the world? We are so bad at it. I will tell you how bad. We are so bad that an entire industry has grown up to exploit how bad we are. And they're called casinos.
mm. But
Casino.
okay, on that note though,
Yes.
do you think there's some discovery about the brain that is yet to happen, that there's some place reserved even that maybe childhood never left us? That maybe because you know how like the idea of like you grow older and you grow back toward childhood is a thought, but maybe what if childhood never left us?
Well, I think for some people, it's definitely left them. And the evidence of that, as
Mm.
a childhood, you're curious about everything. Oh, what's under that rock? What's behind the tree? Children are so curious up to a certain age, you have to prevent them from killing themselves by exhibiting from them exhibiting their curiosity. Oh, what's inside this wall socket? Let me stick a fork inside of it. What's on this cliff edge? So up until a certain age, you have to prevent them from dying because they,
But wouldn't
and I'm saying adults,
curiosity?
saying after a certain age, most adults have lost that curiosity and they get embedded, they get ossified in whatever was the last thing they learned. And they think that is the state of the world. There's no kid left in them at all.
Except when it comes to probability.
Still, we are
Because
bad at probability and statistics. We are bad. Not just bad, we are awful.
mm,
You go to a casino table and someone's betting on, a roulette table.
yeah.
I said, why are you betting on 7 so many times? It's due. I said, how do you know it's due? Well, they showed the previous rolls and hadn't shown up in a long time. So it's due. It's not due. Your emotions want to think that's true,
Mm,
but it's not. And by the way, is probability and statistics taught in schools? Well, it's an elective.
yeah.
But will you grant me one conspiracy theory? Will you give me one?
Okay, I'm with it. Let's go.
So I want permission.
Yes, you
Okay.
got it. You got it.
Do you know where most of the money goes to for state lotteries?
To the school.
Schools.
Yeah.
School systems. Okay.
Ah,
So I looked at the kindergarten through 12 curriculum in public schools across the country, and hardly anywhere is probability and statistics taught.
mm.
So as long as they
Saying something.
don't teach it, you'll come out as an adult betting on the state lottery. That's my
That is,
I think it's a diabolical plot to keep you voting.
and you're probably not wrong. Like like
You're not in any hurry.
Crazy part of that is you're probably not wrong, which is wild. Okay, so let's talk about relationships. All right. And
to the extent I can offer insights.
but do you
I've been married 36 years. So that counts with some authority.
something,
Yeah,
right? Are men from Mars and women from Venus?
Yeah. That's a best-selling book in its day.
Right.
I think what people are afraid to talk about is genetic differences between and among people. It's like almost taboo. Everyone wants to say we're all equal and we're all this and we're all that, but you look around and people are not equal. Okay, some people get higher grades, some people can jump higher, some people can run faster, some people can solve problems more quickly. We're not all equal. And so, but to say that there's a genetic basis for it is radioactive as a topic, including if it involves the difference between, men and women, but men are from Mars, women are from Venus. So there's some interesting facts that and this is where I first came to this thought. There was a survey. They asked men and women in your workplace, have you ever, while at work, have you ever cried because of something that happened at work? 95% of women say yes to that question. Okay. When I heard that question, I said, I don't understand the question. Like, why would I cry at work? I didn't even understand what that could be a question to ask. Okay. And so if you look at the number, men, it's like 5%. These are not 60-40, 55-45. There's a divide there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're going to say, well, men are only trained to not show their emotions. We want to say it's socialization. No one is ready to say it's genetic because it's radioactive to even have that thought. Okay. But that's an interesting difference. And so in the title of the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are from Venus. You want to know another one? Even through women's lib, the second wave women's lib in the 1970s, women entered the workforce in huge numbers. There was certain rights and privileges previously were only for men. There was a time in my lifetime, I don't know how old you are, but in my lifetime, a married woman could not have a credit card.
Yeah. I wasn't alive then, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I couldn't. Yeah. You didn't have to dig it in like that. I so was not alive yet then, but I exaggerated your attitude. But those not watching us, she did cop a little bit of attitude on that. So now what was I talking about?
We were talking about it within your lifetime.
Okay, within my lifetime. So over that time, you can ask, well, who reads romance novels? Okay. Historically, it was women. Well, all right. Now that women are powerful and they have jobs and pay rent and own property, are they buying fewer romance novels? No, the same. Are men buying romance novels? No. Okay. When a man romances, he don't care about your story. It is a much more blunt fact. Okay. So we can try to explain it away socially. You can try. But it's hard because it's persisted for decades. Right. Whereas other things have completely switched. Like nearly half of all medical doctors are female. That talk about a sexist profession in its day. I'll deliver your baby and you'll compliment me for it. You know, there were no female obstetricians. Right. Half of doctors are women today. Boom, all in. Okay. There's a lot of opportunity that has been grabbed in this new world. So
when we have that changes science. So like when
it can, less so in the physical sciences. Right? Okay. There's no girl electron or boy electron.
Right.
You know. But my wife made an observation. She has a PhD in physics. We came of age at a time when we were not sure, not enough data to decide. We were not sure whether the universe was expanding forever or whether it would collapse and re-expand and go on some kind of... Yeah, we have enough data.
It's expanding forever.
Yeah, get over it.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's expanding forever.
Yeah, deal with it. Yeah. But there are people who wanted it to be a cyclic universe. And my wife noted that it was easy for men to embrace there was a steady state universe. There's the universe just sort of static in its position. And she was commenting that men were piling up behind the steady state universe, and women would say, no, the cyclic universe. So it could your socialization, your gender, your sex, it could possibly influence what you want to be true. It could possibly influence that, but it doesn't affect nature. Nature is the ultimate judge, jury, and executioner. It doesn't care about your bias, your anything. Nature will be what nature is.
Speaking of nature, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, right? Are we strongly tied to the moon, to other planets in our physical being?
That is that is one of the last bastions of our human ego to still manifest in modern society. What do I mean by that? If go back 10,000 years, 5,000 years, it kind of looks like we're in the center of the universe, doesn't it? The sun rises over there, sets over there. Everything revolves around me. When the sun and the moon are there, my crops grow. So maybe it's causing that. And this happens. Oh my gosh, that's all happening that way. And so we think we are the object of the universe's concerns. And some of that still persists to this day, where people say, oh, Mercury's in retrograde, so I'm going to have a bad day. You think Mercury gives a rat's ass about you? Really? Real? Do you realize how small we are in this universe? And you think these planets, stars, galaxies even know you exist enough to somehow influence your social life, your financial life? So yeah, it's a leftover ego trip.
That just shifted my world. Okay. Because now I got to think. I did think that the moon cycles and women's cycles and all the things.
No, but they don't exactly match up. And if they don't match up, they go out of phase in very short order.
That's true.
Okay. I mean,
So, okay,
not to get personal.
No.
But growing up, how long were your cycles? You would know. If you were not on a pill, how long was your cycle?
7 days.
No. What do you mean 7 days?
Like, oh, you mean the whole day's 21 days?
Yeah. How many cycles? How long was your menstrual cycle?
If you talk about the whole cycle is 21 days.
No.
But if you talk about
no, hold on.
Part, like,
wait, what species were you? 21 days? Excuse me.
It's a whole cycle though, because you have ovulation, then you have
yes. That would not have been 21 days. Yeah, unless you're not human. Well, I don't want to mansplain this. What? How long have you?
Yeah, your whole cycle from beginning to end, you're constantly going through it. It never ends.
You're saying 21 days?
You have to go through your ovulation period.
Yes,
you have to go through your bleeding period. Then you have like a 2-3 day period after that.
You're telling me that wasn't 4 weeks? You're saying 21 days?
I'm saying 21 days.
Okay, you better get a species check.
I mean, everyone's different. Some people bleed longer, some people bleed shorter.
Your body, I'm not going to tell you what it was.
Okay.
If it was 21 days, the cycle.
For the whole length of the cycle, though.
I get you.
Okay.
The cycle of the moon is 29 and a half days.
Okay.
That's not the same as your 21 days.
True.
It's not even the same as any other woman's answer that would be 28 days. But it does not match up. So within a
28 days is so I'm 21, but I would say yes to 28. But wait.
Even if it's 28.
Wait. Here's the thing, though.
I'm saying the moon cycle does not match that. So stop crediting stuff in your life with the moon cycle because it sort of looks like it matches, but it doesn't. And so after a year, you're completely out of phase with the moon. No. And plus, there are other animals that have completely different menstrual cycles, and they live on the same earth.
It is 28 days. Apologize. But how do you explain? How do you science? Okay, we gotta go. We gotta go. How do you scientifically explain?
A human.
I am a human.
Thank you.
I'm not having 21. Listen, I have an IUD, so scientifically, I don't have a period at all.
Right.
But how do you explain?
You still have a period on an IUD.
I don't. Oh, I mean, you know what?
It's a different kind of period, but you still.
I don't.
Your hormones still go.
My hormones still go through a cycle, but I don't have.
How much science have you had?
Yeah. I don't have the active bleeding.
Right. It's a different, but the cycling should still be the same.
But the cycle is still
because IUD is not changing you.
Feel it anyway. That's a whole other conversation.
The IUD is not changing you chemically. I don't think.
If it's releasing hormones, is it not changing me?
Oh, is it really? They have put hormones in it now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, go ahead. No, girl. In my day, because I'm way older than you, the IUD was just they just shoved something in the uterus.
Yeah. So how do you scientifically explain women's cycles matching up if they're near each other?
Okay, so they only get talked about when they get matched up, and when they don't get matched up, no one talks about it. This is statistics.
So is that in our mind?
This is the statistics of it. Okay, and the period. The period goes for several days, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so. Watch this. How many goes? 3 days, 4 days tops. Okay. So if someone's cycle ends at the beginning of yours and someone else's begins at the end of yours, that's 12 days out of a month where somebody's cycles are overlapping somebody else's cycles. If somebody makes note of that, you say, oh my gosh, everything is cycling. And if it doesn't cycle, no one talks about it.
So are you saying we're all just tripping?
I am saying when we don't understand probability and statistics, we fool ourselves into thinking something is true that is not, or that something is not true that is, or if I said that right.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Okay. This is part of
21, 28 days.
This is why we think it's going to be a 7 on the roll. That's why we're thinking stuff that's just not true. And by the way, Merlin is a foundational, rational being in this world, getting people to think about the word. There's a whole section in here on the astrology. People, like I said, people, there are 13 constellations in the zodiac, not 12. And one of them is called Ophiuchus.
Is this the one? So recently, there's been more conversation about it, but this has always been there.
It's always been there.
It's always been
It's been there for 500 years. Yeah. And Ophiuchus is there are more days where the sun is passing through Ophiuchus than it is when it's passing through Scorpius. So if you thought you were Scorpio, you're probably an Ophiuchian. And all of Scorpions and Ophiuchans are currently Librans because the entire scale is shifted by a month from from what anyone is telling you in the horoscope.
And it's just now being introduced into pop culture widely.
No,
Okay,
they just don't want to listen. They'd rather not tell you that because it's a billion-dollar business.
Number,
it's
and
a
the
business.
13, the idea of the 13. Okay, we could talk all night. Okay, but I'm gonna get in trouble.
When you have rational foundation for your thoughts, there's nothing more empowering than that, because it enables you to know when someone else is full of shit. That's an important place to be in this world. Otherwise, you'll be exploited.
How in the world do you get rational foundation for your thoughts?
You read the books I've written.
There you go. Perfect. All right. Merlin's Tour of the Universe is out now. You can go and get it.
Oh, by the way, there's an audio version of that book.
Okay.
I narrated it.
Perfect. And you have such a great voice.
If you're not a reader, then you can just listen to my voice for a couple hours.
Yeah. Okay. No, you should totally do that. Anywhere you get your audiobooks, and make sure you get the Merlin's Tour of the Universe is back and it's out, and you want to get this version of it. I love it. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
This is so exciting for me, and I hope it was happy for you too. But thank you so much.
All right.
All right.